Good morning,
Hello.
Durham. How are you doing?
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today on this lovely, glorious, bright Monday morning here in Yorkshire. The weather's lovely. So thanks for not going outside and enjoying the sun and coming and joining me instead. So today we're going to be talking about high converting sales funnels, how to build one, how to do it all in one day if needs be. Before we start, just a couple of things. For those of you who haven't seen it yet, there is a resource pack that is available. If you go to https://dylanleighton.com/resources, and hopefully in a moment that URL will be coming up in the chat box. There it is. If you could please all go to that and get the resource pack. That's got all of the links and everything that we're going to use during this course in there. It may get added to, so please do feel free to go ahead and get that now. I noticed that a few people have already gone and got that, which is great. There's going to be a few other things. There's also, if you click on the polling box at the bottom, you'll notice that there is a very simple poll. Please feel free to go ahead and have a look at that at some point in the next hour or so. It's just popped up hopefully now. So if you think about that, I just want to sort of gauge where everybody's at, really. That's fantastic. A few people responding already. That's great. Thank you so much. And what's the other thing? Oh yeah, if you've got questions, please do put them. There's a Q&A box. Now there's the normal chat box. Obviously you can put things into there. But if you've actually got a question that you want answering, please drop it in the Q&A box. Obviously, the reason for that is that it's so it doesn't get lost in amongst the chat that goes on. So if you just take a moment to do those things, but particularly go and get the resource pack from dylanleighton.com/resources, that would be great. So as I say, it looks like we've got about 34, 35 people. So welcome to all those of you who are live. So let's dive straight in and talk about high converting sales funnels and how you can make that work for you in whatever kind of business you have. So I get asked a lot of the time, what on earth is it that you do? And it's quite an interesting one because I actually combine three different skill sets. I combine psychology with creativity and technology. And that's probably a really good way to think about what's needed for a sales funnel. But the great news is you don't need to be an expert in all of those things. But if you can just sort of really start to think about the customers that you have, and the polls have just popped up again. There we go. And the way that you interact with your customers, sometimes you need elements of all three of those things. And that's effectively what we're going to talk about. So I'm going to sort of keep jumping between psychology, creativity, and tech throughout this whole course. But don't worry, if you're not a tech guru or anything like that, you don't need to really have any understanding at all of things like coding. You don't need to be a web designer or anything like that. Most people have pretty much got all the skills that they'll need to be able to build a high converting sales funnel in one day. So what else is there to tell you? Oh yeah, as I say, if you've got questions, please put them in the Q&A box, but feel free to use the chat for anything else. Okay, so without further ado, let's dive in. Thanks to all of you who have filled in the poll so far. That's really, really useful. Oh, by the way, if anybody does want to connect with me, at the back of the resources pack, there are two buttons. One is to connect with me on LinkedIn, which is always a good place to have a little chat. And the other one is a link to actually book a session, a one-to-one session. You can just come and we can have a chat about whatever it is that you want. So feel free, if you've got questions at the end, to come and do that. Okay, so let's go. What is a high converting sales funnel? So Some of you, I can see, already have a sales funnel from the poll. But I think it's fair to say most of you have either looked at it and are maybe investigating, or some of you just have never really come across it before. And there's loads of reasons why right now sales funnels are becoming particularly interesting, obviously after the coronavirus and everybody being locked down. And there's a lot of businesses that previously haven't moved to digital too much in the past, and they've done everything offline, and now they are. Petra, yes, there are going to be some slides. We're going to show these, and actually I'll send a copy of all of the presentations to you after the event. You'll get absolutely everything, so you'll be able to sort of look back and see what we've done. So what is a sales funnel? Well, basically it's very simple. The idea of a funnel is something where you're getting lots of people in and you're going to filter them down in like a funnel shape. So the idea is that we're going to try and appeal to lots of people. And then at the back end, at the lower end of the funnel, we're going to identify customers, and we're going to be able to hopefully connect with them and get them to really want to buy our products or our services. So it doesn't matter really whether you're a B2B business, a B2C business, whether you're service-based or whether you're product-based, or even if you're, a third sector company and are providing, social style services or whatever it may be. A sales funnel can be useful for absolutely every business. I haven't really found many where it's not useful for. So we're going to talk a little bit today about some of the things that are really required in order for a funnel to work properly, and how you can make that happen with the software and all the things that I'm going to talk to you about over the next sort of few weeks. The next thing is this is in 3 parts. So today we're going to focus a lot more on the theory. In the second webinar, which happens next week, we're going to focus on the actual technical stuff, on the building of the funnel. And in the third part, we're going to talk about optimizing it and what you can do to get people to come into your funnel, and how you can make the funnel the best that you can be. So the poll has now ended, and it looks like the majority of people here, so that's 76%, so well over 3/4 of people have either never used a funnel or have tried it or are actively investigating it. So that's fantastic. You're in the right place. It's worth saying as well that there is so much technology out there to help you build a funnel. I mean, it goes on forever. There's so many companies and products and all the rest of it. We're going to be, obviously we have to pick one in order to show everybody how it works. So I've actually picked one for today that we're going to use throughout the webinar. And if you have a look in the resource pack, and for those of you who haven't got that yet, please do go to dylanleighton.com/resources. That resource pack is going to contain everything, certainly that we're going to talk about today, and all the links and things like that. But if you could definitely get that before the next session, that would be fantastic. So, why on earth would you want a sales funnel? So what I'd like you to do, this is a bit of the audience participation bit. Normally, if I was involved in a live training, I'd be getting Q&As right now. So if you feel that you want to participate in this bit, please do go ahead, put it in the chat. Let me know what are the reasons for you that you might be interested in putting a high converting sales funnel into your business at this point. So please do go ahead and tell us why your automation sales while I sleep from Maddie. Thanks very much. Don't know which technology to use. Thanks, Phil. That's great. Operational efficiency. Brilliant. So there's a load of good reasons. Probably one of the best reasons for me is the ability to always have a way of engaging with potential customers. So I'm a big fan of being able to engage with people while I'm asleep. And I don't sleep very much sometimes, but when I do, I want to still be able to give people the opportunity to come and engage with me and talk to me and maybe get hold of some of the products and services that I offer. So there's also, it's worth saying that for people that are looking at funnels for the first time, when you're trying to pick the right software, I mean, every single vendor is going to tell you that their software is the best on the planet and you should definitely buy theirs. But I'm going to tell you this, it's from long experience. It kind of depends on your business. It kind of depends on what it is that you want to achieve. And we're going to talk quite a lot about the strategy of this as to the software that you're going to put in place. So for some businesses, it might be you're one person in a bedroom and one set of software is going to be really good for you. For other businesses, you're going to be really big enterprises and you're going to need something a little bit more meatier, particularly if you've got lots of departments. As I say today, and throughout this course, we're going to deal with one specific type of software, which for me is kind of a middle of the ground one. It's a nice, easy one to get into, and it doesn't require anybody to do any hard coding or anything like that. So I'm going to bring up my first slide. If I can get rid of the polls, that's fantastic. And, oh, blimey, I'll swap the displays on that because suddenly I couldn't see anybody. And I've completely blown that because I can't see anybody now. Let's see if I can share my screen. Excellent. So I'm not going to put that into full screen mode, everybody. You can all hopefully see it there. So I say all the tools are there. If you go to that URL, you will be able to get those. Okay, we talked about that. Funnel theory and design is where we are at today. So why build a funnel? This is the question we're asking at the moment. So the first reason is that most people, 98% of people that come to your website, if you've even got a website, most people have these days, but 98% of people aren't going to convert into customers. This is, for me, is probably the number one reason why you would want a funnel. And people think, quite often think, well, I've got my website and, why aren't I getting people into it? There's a good reason for it. We'll talk about that in a moment. Secondly, it's about maximizing your resources, particularly if you're a small business and there's only one or two of you in the business, and you've got, you're trying to attract lots of customers. You don't want to be spending all of your time doing sales outreach. You want to be finding smarter, more efficient ways of bringing your prospects in and then turning them into customers. And this kind of leads on from the original point that I made, which is 98% of people that land on your website aren't going to convert immediately. Most of them probably won't convert at all into customers. But if you can capture those people and you can really start to nurture them over time and get that relationship with them, I think it's fair to say you've got a much higher chance of them becoming customers in the future. And really the purpose of the automated sales funnel is not only to capture them, not only to drive their attention and their awareness, but it's really to build up your ability to over time get a message out to them which encourages them eventually to become your customers. And this brings me on to what I call this is the psychology part, the 5 major keys to selling digitally. And obviously if people haven't got these things, it's very, very unlikely that they're going to become your customers. So obviously the first thing that people have to have is the need for your product or service. If they don't need it, I mean, they might want it, but they don't need it. Yeah, maybe they'll buy it. But for the most part, a lot of products and services, they solve a problem or they give somebody something. We'll talk a little bit about motivational direction later on and the psychology of that. The second thing is urgency. So people need to feel that it's something that they need now. Okay. And the problem is, and this is why you get 98% of people going on your website, we don't know what stage in the buying process they're at. We don't know whether they've just had an idea that's popped in their head and they feel like, oh, that's an interesting thing, I'll just go and look that up. Or whether it's something that they're absolutely desperate to buy right here, right now. And for the most part, they're probably not quite there yet if they've just landed on your website today. The third element is obviously price. If you're miles out, in terms of what they can afford, they're never going to buy it. That's fairly obvious. The fourth thing is value. They've got to really feel that it offers them some form of value. And probably most importantly is trust. And this is something that a lot of people are talking about these days when they're on LinkedIn. It's really about really driving that trust with your customers, really getting to the point where they know you, they feel that they've got some connection with you. And obviously, if you're doing everything digitally and you're not having meetings with them, how do you achieve that? And a sales funnel can only go so far. There is nothing quite like being sat in front of someone, able to, have that personal, physical interaction, of course, but these are strange times that we're living in, right? And so if you can't have those meetings all the time, whether it be face-to-face or online, a sales funnel is going to give you a fighting chance. It's better than having no connection with them. Now, all of you, there's no question of this, all of you have at some point been involved in a funnel. You've found yourself in a funnel. I would think that's fairly common for just about everybody. Unless you're really precious about your email address, you've probably entered a funnel at some point. Pretty much all of the major businesses use some form of sales funnel. And how your funnel works is as varied as the types of businesses that are out there. So you can have very simple funnels that are just really selling an individual product, or you can have very, very complex, long pipelines. So I want you to think slightly differently, that your funnel is not necessarily your pipeline, okay? Your funnel is, for the purpose of what we're talking about here, is what's going to bring people into your sphere and allow you to connect with them, and hopefully over time build up to those 5 key points, which are need, urgency, price, value, and of course trust. So that's what we're doing. A lot of people say, hey, I set up my funnel and I haven't sold anything yet. And I go, well, how long has it been? And they go, a couple of days. And I've had plenty of people in the funnel. I go, well, you haven't really given your funnel time and you haven't nurtured people yet. So this is really important. The job of a funnel is not necessarily to sell a product today. The job of a funnel is to capture those people who've got interest and then generate that trust and nurture them over time until the point where they've got the need, they've got the urgency, they need it now, the price is right, they perceive the value and they trust you, and now they're going to become customers. The other thing is that a lot of people think if you get 100 people in a funnel that you're going to get 100 customers. Nothing could be further from the truth. If you can get 5% of the people that come into your funnel to convert into customers, you're generally doing pretty well. A lot of funnels just don't work like that. And you've just got to understand that people are sometimes happy to come into your funnel, particularly if you've given them what's called a good lead magnet, but they're not necessarily going to convert into customers straight away. Okay, so any questions so far? If anybody's got any questions, please do whack them in the Q&A box.
Hey Dylan. Yes, I think I should have mentioned this before for all attendees, that if you want to ask any questions, please make sure that you ask them in the Q&A box rather than the chat, because today's webinar is quite interactive, and you guys are chatting quite a lot in the chat box. So if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A box, and whenever these questions arise, I'll probably interrupt Dylan and ask the question, or we'll have like a specific break time, if you like, for the questions. So
yeah, we will pause in about half an hour for a comfort break for everybody.
We'll have a 5-minute break in like about 30 minutes or so.
Something like that, yeah.
In the meantime, if you have any questions, please make sure that you put them in the Q&A box. But for now, Dylan, we're good to continue.
Okay. Okay, so guys, hopefully you can see my screen now. What we're going to talk about is the customer journey. Now, probably the best way to think about a funnel is this. Imagine that there is a river, and at the other side of the river is the end of the journey, where they are a loyal customer of yours, purchasing your products and services. But right here, right now, they're on the other bank. They're just getting started, and there's a big river, there's no bridge, and nobody really wants to get their feet wet. How are you going to get them across to the other side? Obviously, the best way of doing it with no bridge is stepping stones. And effectively, that's what a sales funnel is. It's a small number of stepping stones. Now, some of you will have come across the idea of touch points. And that there are lots of different touch points that are often required before somebody will become a customer of yours. This is effectively what a sales funnel is all about. It's about creating those touch points and about nurturing that trust. So we're going to take them step by step by step by step by step over the river. And at the other side of the river, they become your customers. So just wanted to very quickly check. Lots of you have come in here, and just so you know, because it's always quite fun, and I always quite like to just mention this. Of all the people that are on here, almost everybody has already got the resource pack. So welcome to the funnel. Okay, I'm quite open about it. So what I wanted to do was to show everybody a little bit about how a funnel works. So by getting the resource pack, you've effectively now entered a funnel. And what we're now doing is we've got a connection. We've got the ability to start talking to people. And what I've done is I've given away something of value in exchange for the ability to connect with you. Okay, so all of you, I think it's there's about 28 people out of all of our attendees who've actually put their email addresses into that. Thank you very much. I'm not going to spam you, I promise you. You're not going to get spammed continuously with offers of products and things like that, but you are now in the funnel. And obviously anybody can already, somebody's already unsubscribed. And that's the beauty of the funnel. You're perfectly welcome to unsubscribe. For those of you that haven't entered your email address yet, but please do, go ahead and do that. But you can also get that later on. We'll send you the link round to get it as well, because I want everybody to make sure that they've got that pack. So what I really wanted to do was show you, first of all, how simple it is to get the top of the funnel. And the top of the funnel is the point where people go, okay, yeah, I'm interested. I'm going to, I'm going to engage with you somehow. And this is the quickest and simplest way of doing it. People are in my funnel, and now we can talk. And what you've got is what's called a lead magnet. Now, some people think that a website is the best way to sell. It isn't. Why? Because generally most people's websites are absolutely chocker full of information. If I go to a website, I generally go for one of two reasons. One is that I'm looking for information about something. I'm looking to just, figure out whether this is right for me, or, even just learn about something. The other reason is that I have already decided there might be a product that I want to buy. Let's say I want to buy, I don't know, a new guitar. I like guitars. I have lots of guitars. If I want to buy a new guitar and I've already decided what I want, I already know which one it is, I just want to get a good price, then I might go on and just buy that guitar or whatever it may be. So they're the two reasons, but it's most likely I'm going on the web to get information or to do some form of research. And the thing with the website is because there's so much information on it, it's very hard to nail a person down to a particular product or service, or even to bring them into your funnel. Things like, subscribe here buttons, come and join our newsletter on websites, don't convert half as well as sales funnels do. And the reason is people don't generally want to be on a newsletter. Yeah, they want to keep their email address for themselves. So we have to really think about a smarter way of getting in touch with these people and getting their permission to come in and engage with us. And obviously people can choose to unsubscribe and come out of your funnel at any point in time. And that's perfectly okay. It's absolutely right and proper that they should be able to do that. But if you're engaging with them and you're able to give them something of value and continue to give them something of value, there is a much higher chance that they're going to A, start to trust you more, and B, hopefully become customers of yours in the future. So let me just bring this. We're going to talk now a little bit, when I can find my screen share again. I've got too many monitors going on here. There are effectively 4 steps in a funnel. I actually think there's more than this, but we're just going to talk about the initial 4 steps for now. The first one, which you've all been through, by the way, is awareness. So the awareness step that's at the top of the funnel. The reason this is a triangle is that what we're going to show is that lots of people come in at the top. There's a much higher percentage of people, there's a big group of people at the top. And then as it goes down through each stage, they filter down. And that's effectively why it's called a funnel, because it's a funnel shape. At the top comes awareness. So that's people becoming aware of not necessarily the products and service that you offer. It's about becoming aware of either the problem or the thing that you're doing, or something related to it. So, for example, car manufacturers, they don't put adverts out there that just say, buy our car. Hey, come along and buy a new BMW. They don't say that. Because, some people will, the people that want a BMW, but that's not really going to connect and engage with people. What they're more likely to do is focus on something either emotionally and really, connect with you emotionally and tell you that, having a new BMW is going to make you really popular, and have loads of friends and get more sex and whatever it may be. Or they're going to sort of show you some amazing feature of the car, or they're going to sort of give you some sort of lifestyle thing and really connect with you that way. So the awareness stage it can be very fleeting. It's just really grabbing your attention just like that. And that's really probably one of the hardest things to do. And it's why you really want to have good marketing and good creativity. This is where the creativity and the psychology bit comes in. And if you've got your finger on the pulse of how can you just grab people, have that attention grabbing headline. This is mostly maybe at your advert stage, before they get into your funnel. This is where awareness is very, very important. And whether you're putting ads out on Facebook and social, LinkedIn, whatever it may be, or you're on radio, or you're just doing networking, that is the awareness stage. And really it's about saying, hey, there's this thing, there's this problem, or there's this feature, or there's this thing that's changing in the world. Not that that's happened recently with the coronavirus. What do you think about this? The next thing, the next stage, which not everybody, as I say, is going to buy into that. The next stage is here, and that is interest. Obviously, at the interest stage, we're starting to really engage with people now, and we're starting to say, hey, here's some of the things that we can do to make this problem go away, or here's some of the things that we can do to give you the opportunity to profit, or whatever it may be. So the interest stage is really where we're starting to get people noticing you, get people noticing the products, the services, the brand. And it's a very, very distinct stage. And this is the bit where advertising and traditional marketing really comes into its own. It's about getting that message across. We're the best. We do it better than everybody else. Here's our USPs. Excuse me. So the next stage of the funnel is the decision stage. Now, the decision stage can come many, many weeks or even months down the line. It might be that you've had awareness and you've had interest in someone and their products and services for some time. But it's not until weeks, months, maybe even years later that you actually go, oh, I need that thing now. I'm ready. I've got all of my 5 keys that are lined up. I've got the need. I've got the urgency. The price is good. I can see it adds value. And more importantly, I've had communication with these people and I trust them. This is now where your funnel gets very, very interesting, because it's not just about going, no, here's the product, go and take it. It's about now being able to go, okay, what's the right thing for you? Here's the thing that you originally looked at, but there may be 10 or, lots of other things that go with this that make it even better. So again, if you're selling a car, this is the point, the decision stage, where you're saying to people, okay, so there's the base model of the car. Now, do you want the leather seats? Do you want the sat nav? Do you want the Bluetooth? All of the extra things that add more and more value. This is the point that your car salesman is effectively going to try and upsell you on certain features. It might be that you go, meh, I don't really need that. Can you take a bit off the price? That's called a downsell. So it might be that at this point, in order to keep the sale, they go for a slightly lower grade product, which is a bit cheaper, and that's called a downsell, because they don't want to lose you completely. So we'll talk about all of those things shortly. Finally, we get to the action stage. And really, for me, that everything in a sales funnel is an action stage, because the action stage is where they take decisive action. They go, okay, I'm in. And really, for me, the first part of the awareness stage is also an action stage, because it's getting people to choose to click that button, to click that advert, to click that link, and to land on your page and be able to start interacting with you. And this is where it's better to not have a website in the way. Why? Because as I said before, websites are big and they can be confusing. There's so much information on there. How many people have been annoyed by going to a website and they just cannot find that bit of information that they want? Sometimes it's just a phone number. Sometimes it's, some more granular information about a product, a service, or, something that's going on. And it can be very, very difficult on a website to navigate to the very thing that you want. A sales funnel turns that on its head, because what we're going to do is we're not going to use a big website that tells you everything about the products, the services, the company, the brand, etc. What we're going to do with your funnel is to effectively make a very, very quick, very easy to understand offer. And that quick and easy to understand offer is going to appear on what's called a landing page. So some of you will already know what a landing page is. Some of you will already have your own landing page. But effectively, your landing page is like a one-page, very, very simple web page. It is still a website as such, but it's not a big corporate website, which is going to give you a very, very nailed down offer or something of value that encourages you to engage. So for example, we might have something a little bit like this. We might have a funnel that works like this. They start by clicking on an advert that they've seen on LinkedIn or social media or whatever, and they get taken to a landing page which gives a very, very quick offer. You'll have seen this 100 times, particularly on LinkedIn, people going, hey, get my report on the state of the industry, or get this free download, or, you know, here's a little book for you, a little ebook that tells you the 20 things not to say to, I don't know, a car salesman, just for want of an example, and stay with the car analogy. And then what they're going to do is you're not going to download that ebook and they're going to go, hey, thanks for downloading the ebook. Now here's 50 products to buy, because that's probably going to turn you off. What they're going to do now is go through a nurturing process with you. And they kind of want it to be two-way, and the best sales funnels, they really slow down and they take their time, and they're really trying to find out what is the best way now to figure out if there's synergy between us, me as a vendor and you as a customer. And they're going to nurture that over time. And generally these days that's done by email. It can also be done by SMS. They're generally the two ways. You can do it other ways, of course, as well, but they tend to be a bit more intrusive and sometimes not very cost effective. Like sending direct mail out is not the most cost effective way of doing things compared to digital. After they've nurtured you, then they're going to want to move to a CTA. A CTA stands for call to action. They are going to, at the right time, encourage you to take that next step. And that next step, by the way, isn't necessarily always a sale. It might be a next step into something like a survey. It might be a poll. It might be, tell us the features that you would like to see. For me, the call to action is more about engagement than it is selling. And you'll see this echoed across LinkedIn for those of you that are very active on there all the time. Do not sell on LinkedIn. It doesn't work particularly well. You might get some, but for the most part, what you're looking to do is nurture people. And that's kind of the point of LinkedIn. It's nurture through content, really connect with them. Eventually, you're going to get a smaller group of people who've gone through your funnel and they're going to pop into a sale. But that's not the only type of funnel. That's one very, very simple layout. You could also have a layout more like this, where a visitor clicks and they come to your landing page. And this time we've got what's called a lead magnet. That's something that you're giving them to entice them in. So this is maybe, again, your ebook, your freebie, your giveaway. Sometimes you can do competitions, although they're not always the best converting. Sometimes you might want to do a survey, but anything you can get them to engage and give you their details, their email address or whatever it may be. And then what they might do is move to what's called a tripline hook. Now, I really like tripline hooks. Tripline hooks, they separate the men from the boys, to use an analogy. So what a tripline hook is effectively where they give you a very, very simple low-cost offer. And I like the low-cost offer as a tripline hook to be something, I call it the Godfather offer. You cannot refuse this offer. It's an offer you can't refuse. That's a tripline hook. It might be that they give you access to their platform for, I don't know, 14 days for a pound or £5 or whatever it may be, just to trial it for a low cost. Or it might be that you get a starter bit of product, a starter product to get you going and just evaluate for, I don't know, £20 when the main product might cost £200. Whatever it may be, the tripline hook is the offer you can't refuse. And the great thing about the tripline hook is that it segments your prospects. So why does it segment them? It segments them because there's going to be some people that choose to buy and some people that choose not to. The people that choose to buy, what can you say about them? Well, you can say that if they're prepared to spend £1 or £5 or £10, they're probably more likely to spend more in the future. Those people that aren't even going to spend £1, they're probably not even close or ready yet to become customers. So really what we're looking to do at this stage is kind of segment people and go, who's a bit further down the line and who isn't. And then the people that are actually buying the tripline hook product, the lower cost product, you can pretty much start to deal with those people differently. And in your communications, you can say, hey, you know, you've tried this product now. What did you think? Give us your feedback. And get them to start engaging with you that way. And again, this all comes down to the psychology of it. You do not ever want to just go forcing your product, service, brand, whatever, onto people. You want them to engage with you. That is by far the best way of building a loyal customer base up online. It really is. Let's just go back to this slide again now. After the tripline hook, this is where you might want to move on to your upsells or your downsells. You might say, hey, you've had the base product. Would you now like the full product with all the bells and whistles? Or would you like to, you know, a little more entry grade product? So your full bells and whistles, that's your upsell. Your entry grade product is more trying to maybe reduce the price and the features and benefits down just to keep people as a customer. Amazon, by the way, are really good at this. How many times have you gone and bought something off Amazon and right at the end they go, hey, you know, would you like to buy this as well? This is really useful. The upsell, everybody who is a parent here has definitely been at some level annoyed by the lack of upsell. And this is an important thing. If you've ever bought toys for your kids at Christmas and the batteries are not included, you actually miss the fact and you're annoyed at the fact that they didn't upsell you those batteries. It didn't even occur to you that the toy that your kid wanted for Christmas didn't have batteries. Now, obviously, the people that are that are really thinking about it, that have got their finger on the pulse and that, you know, are quite well organized, they bought their batteries long ago. But for people like me who just, it goes over my head, I actually want that upsell. So there's this idea, and I've heard it many times, that people don't want to be upsold to. It's not true. As long as your upsell is relevant and pertinent and actually adds more value, people are more than happy to get the upsell stage. Finally, we move on to this idea of leverage. What do I mean by leverage? Well, what I mean by this is that the best way of retaining customers and of growing your business is through both recommendation from other happy customers and testimonials and things like that. And some people are very good at grabbing those. But more importantly, can you make your customers behave like ambassadors? Okay, so if somebody says to me, hey, I bought this amazing new product, you've got to try it, it's absolutely brilliant, I am way, way more likely to go and at least start looking at that product as compared to if I'd just seen an advert for it. If somebody says to me, you've got to go and try this out, mate, I'm probably going to go and take a look at it. So one of the things that I'm really interested in with funnels is how do you get people to that point? And believe it or not, it's not just about selling. It's about, can you take them that extra step and get them to the point where you can start to leverage not only their goodwill, but also get them to effectively be ambassadors for your brand, your product, your service, whatever it may be. So in this series, I'm going to show you how to effectively start thinking about this as well. So let's move on. We're going to have a break in about 10 minutes, and then we'll get into something a little bit deeper. As I say, today is all about theory, so please do bear with me. I know. Sometimes just hearing somebody talk is a little boring. We want to kind of do a bit more interactive stuff, and we'll definitely be getting there. So here is our next part when designing a funnel. Now, a lot of people go, well, I'd love to get a funnel, and we've sort of started thinking about it, but we don't really know where to begin. Okay, here's where you begin. You start with a strategic plan. You do what Stephen Covey suggested, and you start with the end in mind. So you really think about, before you start building anything, and believe me, I've done so many funnels, and I've worked with so many people who have tried to get their funnel up and running, and they're building it on the fly. Let me be very clear. It's probably not going to work, and you're probably going to spend 10 times as much time, energy, resources, and money on doing on your funnel if you do not take a little bit of time at the front end to really plan it out, and really plan out not only how your funnel is going to work, but what it's going to do, the value it's going to add, who it's going to really connect with. Once you've done that, and once you really understand the purpose of your funnel, and believe me, a lot of people don't understand the purpose of their funnels, you want to flowchart it. You want to just work it all out, and just take a little bit of time to go, that happens, and then that happens, and then that happens, and then we get to the end. Great. That will save you literally days of mucking about building your funnel if you flowchart it from the beginning. And then the next thing I always do is I like to work backwards. And there's a reason for working backwards. But the main reason is, again, it's that idea of starting with the end in mind. I don't want to take people through a long, convoluted process. I want them to get to over the stepping stones as quickly and as easily and as efficiently and as pain-free as possible. Anything that you can do to make that happen, and actually beginning from the perfect end point is a really good idea. Okay, so I always start by building end pages, and they generally are my thank you pages for my funnel, and I always do those first. Once I've built those, I create my forms. Forms are really important for funnels. Without a form, you can't do anything. All a form is literally just capturing information. All of you that filled in the your email address on the web page a little bit ago, which is most people, that was a form. Okay, it's very simple, and we're going to embed these forms into our landing page. And then eventually we're going to make our way backwards, and we're going to get to the entry page, which is the first page that the customer sees. We're going to get them to the landing page. And then even beyond that, we're going to start creating the adverts as well, the things that make them click. So it could be adverts, it could be content, it could be videos, it could be whatever. It's the thing that makes people click to get to the entry of your funnel. Once we've done all that, and we understand how the flow works, and we've built all the pages, then we're going to do this final step, which is sequences. And sequences are very simple. It's a bunch of logic that's automated. This is where the tech bit comes in. But again, it requires a lot of creativity and a lot of psychology. But imagine that you had 10,000 prospects in your pipeline, and you wanted to connect with them all at different times because they're on different stages of the life cycle of the customer journey. What you don't want to be doing is sending out 10,000 emails, right? You don't want to be doing copy and paste 10,000 times a week. What you want to be doing is having the whole thing automated, so that wherever they are at in the process and however they've engaged with you will define the next thing that automatically happens. So it might be they fill in the entry form on your landing page. They get your lead magnet, which might be your ebook, your free giveaway. And then 3 days later, once they've opened it and had a read of it, they get a follow-up email. Now, it might be, of course, some people, they sign up, they put their details in, they get sent the email with your nice free shiny ebook that you spent ages building, and they never open it. The beautiful thing about a sales funnel and about the sales funnel software and the technology is that you can track who's opened your email, who's downloaded your guide, who's interacted with you somehow. And pretty much all of the social media giants allow you to do some form of tracking at some level. Particularly Facebook and Instagram, they're really good at this. Facebook has something called a pixel, which just makes life so much easier. We'll talk about that in later sessions. But your sequence is effectively treating people slightly differently. You want to send a different email to the person who hasn't even bothered to open the original email to the one that's already opened it. Okay, so the sequence is really where you start to go, okay, what is the possible journeys that a person could go down? And generally they're going to be logical sequences. Are they, is something true or is it false? Did they open the email or didn't they? Did they download the guide or didn't they? Have they filled in the survey or haven't they? Have they visited your website or haven't they? Okay, so, and we're going to deal with them differently. The last thing you want to do is to do all that manually. If you were to do that, you would spend a fortune on staff, and you just don't need to. That's where the sales funnel automation really comes into its own. Okay, so what we're going to do is, it's 11 o'clock. I did say that we'd have a little break at 11, and then we're going to come back and we're going to start talking about how we plan our strategy and how we effectively get to the point of having our sales funnel set up. So before we do that, there is a question that's come up. I'm just going to answer this one first from Maddie. Do you have any recommendations for timescales, e.g. how long between emails, length of funnel, etc.? There's no hard and fast rule is the answer. Every funnel is different because every product and service is different. So you kind of have to begin by a little bit of judging it based on maybe past performance, or even just a bit of guesswork. Now, I'm not a fan of guesswork. I have a saying, and the saying is effectively this: without data, it's just guesswork. And then you're, oh, I appear to have dropped off at that point. But yeah, effectively, you get my meaning. If you're guessing, you're, okay. Data is everything. So really, in terms of how long should your pipeline, your funnel be, and what's the time delay between them, I would say this: would it annoy you if you were the customer? So if you send a lead magnet to somebody, say an ebook, on their initial sign up, and then 24 hours later, you start bombarding them with emails, are they going to be annoyed with you? Sometimes there's value in doing it pretty quickly. Sometimes it might be that they open the ebook and they you know, you can see, you can actually track how far down they get it with some software, which is really cool. If they open it and they engage with it somehow, it might be that you do want to send them something pretty quickly. So you kind of have to judge it, and over time you are going to get that data. You can also do what's called split testing. And split testing is amazing. Split testing is very, very simple. You'll try something two ways. So for example, when I run a campaign for someone, I will generally put up more than one landing page. And I'm looking to see which landing page converts the best. I'm also going to use different adverts, and I'm going to split test them. Now, the people that see the adverts, they'll see them randomly. They might, and then they'll click on it and they'll get a random landing page. And I can even set the weight of the landing page. Maybe I want 50% to go to landing page A and 50% to go to landing page B. So I'm going to set the weighting of that. And we're going to see maybe landing page A got 100 people to sign up and landing page B only got 5. What's that telling you? Landing page B is rubbish. So it either needs tweaking or dumping. And that's the purpose of a split test. We're going to get into all that, and you'll be able to do your own split tests with the software that we talk about. Last question before we go to the break. Stephen says, best emailing software in your experience for follow-ups, stroke sequences, MailChimp, for example. Yeah, MailChimp's great. In the software that we're going to use to build our funnel, because actually I want you guys to do it. I actually really, really want you to get stuck in during this course and over the next sort of 2 or 3 weeks and actually create yourself a funnel, even if it's not going to be the one that you finally use. Just going through the process and getting in your mind, training your brain effectively to build a funnel is going to be dead useful. Now, MailChimp's great. There are loads, and Constant Contact's good. I think MailChimp's one of the better ones. Constant Contact's good. Sendinblue, there's loads and loads of them. But actually built into the software we're going to use is an automated broadcasting system, which will allow you to send both emails and SMSs. And if you can unify things and use software that brings everything into one, it can often make it a lot easier because you've only got, you've got that one bit of software controlling it all. And the software these days is getting amazing. I mean, it really is. We're going to talk about that a little bit more after the break. So, Stephen, I hope that answers your question for you. Yeah, okay. So we'll take a 5-minute break for a cup of coffee and use the bathroom for those of you that would need to do that. And then we'll come back here. It's now 11:04. We'll come back at 11:10, if that's okay. Okay, everybody, welcome back. I hope everybody is still with us. So we're gonna dive in and do a little bit of the strategy now. Before I do that, I just wanted to refer you all to this. This is the welcome pack, which the resource pack, which hopefully most of you have got. For those of you that haven't got this, maybe please go and get it now from dylanleighton.com/resources. Or if you still don't want to do that, then just maybe drop your email address into the chat, and we'll make sure you get that, because it is quite important. On page 2, so the first main page of this, you will notice that there's a bit that says get all of these tools. Don't have to do it right now, but there's 3 buttons to click. The top one is going to take you to the software I'm going to show you in a moment. That's some very simple free charting software. The middle one is the funnel building software that we're going to use in this course. Now, you all thought this was going to be a free, completely free to attend and get stuck in course. Unfortunately, software that is any good for building funnels, you can get trials and things like that, and that's effectively what we've got. But sometimes what they want to do is their funnel is they want to take a very, very small tripline hook payment. And in this case, it's the grand sum of 80 pence it's going to cost to get the funnel designing software. So hopefully you're all okay with that. If you're not, that's perfectly okay. But obviously, if you're happy to do that, 80 pence will get you the funneling software that we're going to use. We're not going to use it today, but we are going to use it as of next week, and it's useful for you all if you can get that. The third one is some design software called Canva, which is amazing. So I use that for very, very quickly creating nice looking things. This actual pack that you see here was actually created using this software. It's absolutely dead easy to use. You just don't need to be that creative to be able to make cool things with it. But obviously, as you go through the pack as well, what you'll see is some of the stuff we've talked about. So for example, here, just an example funnel is your social media ad, moving to your landing page, moving to your lead magnet. That's the thing that you're getting people in, moving to your thanks page for downloading the lead magnets and entering the funnel, and then into the automated sequence. And as we go through, the things that I've talked about are here. So you'll notice that there are orange buttons all over the place with things to click and to get. So please feel free to go and get those things. It doesn't have to be now, but it can be at some point in the next week, or maybe even on the next session. So I just wanted to show you guys that. The next thing that we are going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about your strategy. So really, how I said the first thing that you must do when you are building a sales funnel is to nail your strategy. It's to start with the end in mind. And I absolutely mean that. It's going to save you so much time. And so there are a few things that you can do to plan your sales funnel strategy. I'm going to bring up a slide here. So looking here at this first thing. So this is everything to do before you start building your funnel. Plan your strategy first. What's your end goal? Are you looking to acquire new users? Are you looking to get signups? Are you looking to get people purchasing a specific product? Or, are you just looking to, to get the name out there and get people brought in, and maybe, a month down the line, you're going to be launching something amazing? Are you looking to get people to sign up for your webinar? Whatever it may be, what's your end goal? And a lot of people are tempted to say, well, it's make more money, sell more products. But actually, that's not necessarily always the end goal. So really nail that. Really nail what you think the end goal of the sales funnel is. Why are you planning to do this? This is a really important question. And these at the moment with the the lockdown and everything that's happened with that, a lot of people are coming into this space and saying, well, because our traditional ways of doing things aren't working anymore, so we're having to go digital, and we don't really know much about that. We're not that au fait with digital marketing strategy. The next thing is to think about things like, what are your offer levels? So it might be that you have multiple different offers that you're going to take people through. This is a really important question, this next one. What do you have service limitations? Now, imagine that you are a business that's a service-based business and it requires people's time. And you have, say, 5 members of staff. And each member of staff, when they get a customer, they might spend 5 hours a week on that customer. Well, the last thing that you want are 10,000 customers right now. I know it seems counterintuitive, but you can't service them all. You just haven't got enough of a team. Okay, so you've really got to think about what your limitations are. Now, if your product is a digital product, you probably don't have any limitations, or you've got very small limitations. But if your product actually requires a physical product or a human being to get stuck into a service, this is going to really color what your funnel is. And that doesn't mean that you still don't want to get loads and loads of people into it. It just means you have to be realistic about how you take people on that journey. The next 2 questions are, what resources do you have and what resources do you need? So what have you got right now that will help you to build your funnel? It might be you've already got, for example, an enormous database of email addresses that you've harvested, or maybe you've even bought, or it might be that you've got all of your products ready to go on. They might be fulfilled by you, or they might even be fulfilled via drop shipping or by Amazon or whatever it may be. So you need to know what you have and also what you need, and especially really think about that in relation to what happens if your funnel blows up and explodes and becomes really, really popular. Can you actually service people? And finally, what are your KPIs, your targets? What is it your would say to you that this has been a useful exercise and that your funnel is actually working? So that's definitely something that you want to think about. And over the next few days, I'm going to encourage you all to really sort of think about those, and we'll put those questions in. And obviously, what I might do is send everybody this presentation, so you've got it, and you can go back and look at those questions. And over the next week, I'd really like you to start to answer them, because although we're not sat in a room together, which is a shame because I'd love to be able to do that, there is a certain amount of engagement and exercises that I'd like you to do, and that's one of them. Really plan your strategy, really ask those questions of yourself. Don't get too caught up in the technicals or the creative at the moment. Just really try and answer those few questions. What's your end goal? Why are you planning to do this? What are your offer levels? Do you have limitations? What resources have you got? What do you need? And what's your targets? How will you measure whether this is working? And effectively, these are SMART goals. Yeah, they're specific, they're measurable, they're achievable, they're realistic, and they're time bound. So that's really important. The next thing that we're going to do is to profile our users. Now, quite a lot of the time, I will ask people, well, who are your customers? And the answer I hate is, well, everybody, because they're not. Not everybody is going to buy your product or your service. That's just a fact, right? 98% of the population might be your customers, but there will be some people that aren't. And the wider you cast your net, when you're thinking about profiling people, sometimes it can make your life quite difficult. You're looking for often quite specific things, and this can come down to demographics, it can come down to things like age, it can come even things like gender, but it can also come down to where people live. There can be a whole heap of reasons. So for example, if you sell products for dogs, if you sell dog toys, right? It's fairly obvious that the people that you want to target are dog owners, right? The people that you don't want to target are people that keep goldfish and don't have dogs, because they're probably not going to buy your product, right? So you really want to think about, what do these people look like? Where do they live? And there's a whole series of questions that you can go to. Yeah, Maddie just put in the chat, market to everyone, sell to no one. I could not agree more, Maddie. That's absolutely correct. You really need to profile your customers. So let me show you a few things on here. Where do they live? What do they do for a living? What's their age? What's their gender? What's their education like? These things can make a difference. I'm not saying they always will, but these are certainly questions to ask yourself. What are their socioeconomics? If you're selling a product, if you're selling yachts, right, it's probably unlikely that you want to be targeting people that, aren't millionaires, right? Because they're just not interested in, well, they might be interested, but they're probably not going to be able to become buyers of your product. Obviously, what are they interested in? If you're selling dog toys, they're interested in the happiness of their dogs. What aren't they interested in? That makes obvious sense. And what prerequisites do they need? So again, let's talk about the dog toy thing. If you're selling dog products, what's the prerequisite they need? It's a dog, isn't it? Yeah. If you're selling products that appeal to parents, the prerequisite is they probably need to have a kid. Yeah, or there'd be a kid on the way, because people aren't going to buy things like baby products and slings and all the rest of it if they don't have a child, or at least a child on the way. So these things are dead important, and you really cannot work on the basis of everybody is going to buy your product, because they're just not. Further to that, and this is also worth thinking about as some of the deeper questions, how are you going to get the traffic? A lot of people think, oh, you just put up a website or a landing page and people will magically appear in it. Guess what? They won't. This is your sales funnel needs to run alongside either your organic marketing, which is things like your content, your SEO and stuff like that, the stuff that you're putting out there, versus your paid traffic, which is obviously adverts that you're paying for, your PPC, things like that. And there's a whole ton of ways to get traffic into your funnel, but do consider where those people are. If you're selling yachts, it might be that where you're going to get your traffic from are in very, very specific forums or social media groups, and that's where you want to target. If you're, obviously selling something that's a bit wider, so it might be dog toys, and you might want to, connect with those dog owners. It might be Facebook or Instagram is a good place to go for those things, or maybe you're going to do a lot of content marketing. So who knows? You've got to really think about where the traffic's coming from, which digital channels they're going to use. How will you test? How will you test that? So before you start putting thousands and thousands of pounds into your digital spend, it's probably a good idea to test it first and see if it actually converts. With the best will in the world, you can come up with what you think is an amazing campaign that will get loads of people in your funnel, and it just doesn't convert. This happens all the time. So it's a really good idea to start thinking about testing and about really understanding which of your landing pages is going to work and how are you going to measure that. Measurability is absolutely vital to your sales funnel. And again, if you don't have the data, in the absence of data, I'm going to say this again, in the absence of data, it's all guesswork. And then you're right. Okay. So what else? Obviously, what is your budget for getting that traffic? Who are the audience? This is coming down to profiling your users. Who will manage it and maintain it? Because with a funnel, what you want to do is keep an eye on it, keep an eye on the data, and then be able to tweak things as and when you require it. And a really good question that I always like to ask people, because it just gets the old brain working, is what don't you know yet? What are you missing? What are you not aware of at this point in time that if you were aware of it and you did know, would allow you to be more successful in building and maintaining your funnel, which is going to get more customers? So what don't you know yet? Okay, so I'll make sure everybody gets a copy of that, because those questions, I promise you, if you start to answer those questions, you are way, way, way more likely to be able to build a highly successful, high converting sales funnel than not. Okay, that's just a fact. So we shall move to the next part. We talked in the last bit about building your strategy. I want you to answer those questions. The next part, which is absolutely vital, is making a customer profile. And making a customer profile. There's actually, if you go in your resource pack, there's a whole page on that. And what I'd encourage you to do is click on the link, and you'll actually get a PDF document that you can just download that will show you an example customer profile. But I'm going to show you it right here. So it basically looks like that. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to reinvent the wheel with your customer profile, but you do have to ask pertinent questions. And sometimes some questions are more relevant than others. So for example, if you sell women's clothing, it's probably a given that most of your target audience are probably going to be women, right? There are going to be some natural questions, natural answers to questions. And it might be, come up with your own questions, but as long as you build a profile at some level, you've got a high chance of making this work. And I promise you, it is definitely going to save you a lot of time in the long run, so building your profile. So please, please, please go and do that this week. It's one of the exercises I want you to do, is to build a customer profile. The next part, and I'm going to show you this dead quick, because if you do this right, it shouldn't take you long at all. It should take you about, 10, 15 minutes tops. The next thing is to flow chart your funnel. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. Again, go in the resources pack, click on page 2. There's the chart tool. Click on that. It's going to take you to this amazing piece of software that I'm going to show you here. This is Draw. Draw's great. It's free to use, and it's absolutely mega. Now, bear in mind, you don't have to use this. You can do this on a piece of paper and a pen if you prefer. But basically, I'm just going to show you how I would do this. So I'm going to ask the audience, please tell me, throw a few ideas out for something that you might want to sell, and we'll flowchart that in a really simple way. So if you could just go into the chat box right now and just throw some ideas, and I'll just pick one at random. Garage paint packs, phone booth hire. Oh, I like that one. Greetings cards, Inner Circle membership program. Okay, I'm going to go with the Inner Circle membership program. Oh, hospice lottery signups. That's a good one as well. Guided tours. Oh, some brilliant ones here. Oh, they're amazing. I hope these are the things that you all want to sell, because these are absolutely brilliant things. Almost all of them, all of them are great for a funnel. Let's just pick one at random. Oh, personal styling. Yeah, that's quite a good one, isn't it? Okay, why don't we do personal styling? Why don't we do that one? Yeah, let's do that one. I've just got a couple of questions that have come up. I already have paid software. I prefer to be more familiar with that to do this. Will that work? I don't think I can cope with learning yet another system. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, many of them are all very similar. It's just some people want to use one more over another. That's absolutely fine. I'm going to do everything in this one particular system. So hopefully for most people that will work for them. If I already used, Charlotte says, if I already use Campaign Monitor for one-off campaign-based marketing emails, is there a way the databases can be linked? The answer is almost always yes, because anything digital you can usually use what's called APIs, or you can do importing and exporting and things like that. So yeah, that's the thing. Moira Barnes, sorry, I missed the software name. Yeah, it's Kartra. If you just click the link in the resource pack, it's the middle button on page 2. There's a big arrow pointing to it that says funnel. So that's the one. So if you just go and click on that, that'll take you straight to the page. Just click up for just click to do the trial, and that will get you started. You don't need to do it today if you don't want, or if you do, that's great. But it is something that we are going to use, and I'm going to encourage everybody to have a little play with that. But it might be you want to wait until the we actually get onto next week to go and sign up for that. Either way is best for me. I hope that answers those questions that are there. I'll just put those in. If you do want to ask any further questions, please do drop it in the Q&A box. What I'm going to do for now is, I think, which one am I going to pick? I did say the sort of personal styling, and I said the Inner Circle membership program. Let's do both. You know, they're kind of roughly similar. So let's maybe, I don't know, we'll pick the Inner Circle membership program to begin with. There's a little more about membership programs that's interesting. So yeah, I'm not seeing everyone's questions in the Q&A from Moira. I don't know why that is. Maybe one of the guys that's helping me out could do that. I have just answered a few of these things, so it might be that you're not seeing them. If you look in the answered box, you might see them there. Okay, so let's jump in and flowchart something really quickly. I'm going to show you how quick and easy this software is to use. You get this lovely blank page to begin with, and I'm just simply going to drag a box in, and I'm going to start with the end in mind. And the end in mind for this one is going to be where somebody has signed up to join our program, or they've somehow entered the funnel and they've given us their details. So let's say that down the line, joining the membership program it's going to take a few steps. It's going to take a bit of nurturing. You just want to get them right now into your funnel. So we're going to have a thank you page at the end. I'll make that a little bit bigger if I can, so that you can all see it. Make it 300%. There you go. So there, oh, I even spelt it wrong. Look. So there is your thank you page. That is at the end of your funnel. Okay. So before there is a thank you page, obviously we're going to have a form. And that form is going to effectively get people to put their details in. And why are they going to put their details in? That's the key question. But let's say here we're going to just have a form, and that form is going to collect a few things. It's going to collect their first name. It's going to collect their email address, and I don't know. Let's say it's going to take, just for the sake of argument, their postcode as well. Okay. So we're going to take their postcode. Oops, I've actually put a postcode in there. There you go. Not even thinking about it. That's what happens. So there's our form. That's the information that we're going to collect from them. And obviously, once they fill that forming, we are going to take them to a landing page. And you just click the button on the end, and it'll make a nice little arrow. You can move all these things about as well, which is really cool. But it just allows you to flowchart this really quickly. Prior to that, we are going to have a lead magnet, and it's going to appear on a screen under a landing page. Okay, so our landing page is basically going to tell people what the problem is. So let's say it's a membership for an Inner Circle of maybe business coaching. The big problem you might be highlighting is that business owners, sometimes it's useful to have a peer group away from the office to, obviously help and nurture and support one another. And there's loads of those groups around. So there's the problem. There is we're going to talk about the possible solution and the possible benefits on the landing page. But we're not going to wax too lyrical about those things. really what we're looking to do is just get them to really think about entering their details. If you have time for 2 flow charts, maybe you could do the service business and a product business. Yes, certainly. I can certainly do that. What we'll do is we'll connect that to there. So our landing page, on the landing page is a form. We capture their details on the form and it simply goes to the thank you page. And then what are we going to do with that? We're going to start to nurture them. We're going to put them into a sequence here. And that sequence is very simple. It's going to be emails, and we're going to send those emails. We're going to send 1 email per week. Maybe you can do more, you can do less, you can stagger it however it is that you want. Some of you will have been in funnels where you get like 5 emails a day. That's a really bad idea. That's just horribly, horribly spammy. You know, don't annoy your visitors, but do keep them in mind. And just think to yourself, if you got 10 emails a week from the same person, and it, you know, would you just start to ignore them and eventually unsubscribe? Or if you were getting an email in and it was actually containing something of value for you, are you more likely to open it? Because really what we want people to do is open it and engage with us, and we'll be able to track that as well. So in our sequence, we're going to do 1 email per week. And what we might do is we might do 1 totally special offer per month. Okay, so something for the subscribers. Every month we're going to put out a special as well, depending on where they are in the sequence. So if I'll just make that view a little smaller. Where's my view button gone? Oh, it's there, look. I'll make that a little bit smaller. So you can see now, there's the landing page. Obviously, there's going to be an advert as well at some point, or a piece of content. So that'll be ad or content, which is going to get people to click on it. And they're going to go to your landing page. Now, it might be that once you've got them to the thank you part here, you might want them to get a bit more information and maybe go and visit your website. Okay, so that's probably the way that I would do it, and maybe even recommend for them some content. Okay, so it might be that they say, you might even ask them on the form, have you got a dog, a cat, a gerbil, a goldfish, if you're selling, you know, things for pets. And it might be they say dog, and then as a result of them entering that, you're going to send them to a particular piece of content on your website. And that's all automated. So effectively now, once you've set the campaign going, all of this, you're not going to have to do anything at all. Okay, so it's literally as simple as that. Just flowchart it. Now, you can obviously start to get more and more complex with this. It might be that you have 2 different sequences. So you might say this is a sequence for people, if we're using the inner circle membership model. This is for people who are CEOs and C-suite directors and things like that. Can't spell today. But what if they say that their job function is in something like, I don't know, marketing. So they're not C-suite directors as such. Oops, that's the wrong way around. It might be that you get them to go into a different sequence, and this sequence is for marketing people. Okay, it might be that this way you don't send them 1 email a week, you might send them 2 emails per week, but they're not really going to be the people that are purchasing. So let's say you don't send them a special offer once a month. Or it might be that you might, I don't know, once every 3 months, you send them a free ticket to a masterclass or something like that. Okay, so you're going to get different sequences, and obviously the more that you know and you can plan this in advance, the better. Okay, so that is effectively that funnel there. Very, very simple. Hope you all get that. Right, let's do another one. Let's do a product-based business. So let's say, I don't know, let's say it is the ultimate product for dog owners. Okay, this is the brand new, I don't know, something to carry your tiny little dog around in. I don't know, something like that, or an amazing new dog toy that's taking the world by storm. Again, we're going to have an advert, or we're going to have some content, whether it's video or a blog or, you know, something on LinkedIn, whatever it may be. That's going to be the thing that starts the awareness, the AIDA model, the A of AIDA. What we're now going to do is we're going to take them to, again, very simple, to a landing page. And that landing page is very simply going to say, show them the product. And that landing page might well have some testimonials. I've got a dyslexic computer today. It might show them testimonials of people that bought it. It might show them some video, what's called VSL. A VSL is a video sales letter. A lot of landing pages now, a lot of funnels are using video. Reason, it converts about 3 times better than just text across the board. It's really good. If you can create a high quality video, and you can do that yourself, or you can, you know, if you've got a bit of budget, do go and get somebody to do that for you. It's really, really important to get your video sales letter looking amazing. It might be also that you have now got a lead magnet, and the lead magnet is, there is a very cheap dog toy. It's normally £20, but you can get this amazing dog toy for just £1 today. That might be your lead magnet, or it might be your lead magnet is 10 amazing ways to train your new puppy. Okay, these are the 10 things that if you do will stop your puppy pooing on the carpet and you know, tearing up your furniture or whatever it may be. And that might be your lead magnet. That's the thing that's going to get people in. So very simply, the lead magnet is going to encourage people to, guess what, fill in the form. And this time we're just going to take their first name and we're going to take their email address. It might also be that there's an option on there to let them know as soon as the new stock is in. And it might be that you want to give people the option to get a text message so that they can find out first, so they're not disappointed. So let's take their phone number as an optional as well. And that's going to be great. Those that want to give you that, we can just send them out a SMS message. Just go, hey, the new the things come in from China, and we've now got all the dog toys. Fantastic. Okay. From there, we are going to, our form is not straight away just going to get them into the funnel. What we're might want to do now is offer them an upgrade. So it might be, hey, here's your free thing. Do you want one of these as well? So at this point, we might do what's called an initial offer. Initial offer, get 2 for the price of 1 if you buy today. Okay, so that might be something that actually pops up on the screen as soon as they've entered their details, and it just gives them the yeah, I want to buy today, or no, I don't want to buy today option. Now, I did say don't push the sales in front of them, but obviously once they've entered their details, this is a good time. If it is a quick turnaround product, service, a fast moving consumer good, or whatever it may be, this might be the time to go, hey, we've got this amazing special offer right now. Give them the opportunity to say yes or no. If they say no, that's fine. It goes into the sequence anyway. So let's say they say, yes. So this is our yes button. Yes. Okay. Now we're going to take them to a checkout, and that checkout is then going to take them to, this is where it gets really interesting. Now we're going to try and upsell them. So this is an upsell. So we're going to try and increase the sale value because they were ready to buy. Okay, they're at the checkout page. They're ready to buy. It might be we go, hey, do you want to buy this as well? It's only an extra £1. That's going to give us a yes or no answer too. Let's say it gives us a no answer. So that's our yes answer here. Let's say that's our no answer here. Oops. Oh, where's my arrows? Come on, arrows. I think you get the message. You get the idea anyway. I'll just draw that one in. They say no, and instead of upselling them this time, we're just going to go, okay, just complete the checkout. I can't spell today. That's completing the checkout process. We'll come back to what happens after that in a moment. Obviously, we've given the initial offer, get 2 for 1 if you buy today, but they say, no, we're not buying today. So that's absolutely fine. Then we're going to take them to a thank you page. And thanks for signing up. And that is then going to add them into a sequence, and that's going to be an email sequence that we're going to do over time. Here, once they've completed their checkout, they might well go to that same thanks page, or it might be a slightly different thanks page, and they go into a slightly different sequence, or even the same sequence. Now, when you're into a sequence, you can do what's called tagging people. So let's say here, if there was the initial offer here, and they said yes, you might then tag them with, ooh, purchased, or it might be that you tag them with, they said no, we'll tag them with didn't purchase. And as they enter the sequence, the people that have got the tag yes, they purchased, they're going to get slightly different emails to the people that tagged no, they didn't purchase. The people that have got that did get the yes tag, what we're going to do with those guys is we're going to ask them after a few days to evaluate the product. Tell us what you think. Please give us some feedback. If you've ever downloaded an app on a game or something like that, you will have seen that loads and loads of times. They'll say after a week or so, hey, are you enjoying playing the game, or rate the product or something like that. That's really important. That's part of the leveraging side of it. So we're going to get them to evaluate the product that way. So that's basically how you flowchart it for a simple product. That's our little dog toy. We'll drop that down a wee bit so you can see that's as simple as it needs to be. It can just take you 5-10 minutes. It's really a good idea to do that. Sometimes I actually quite like working both forwards and backwards. I do quite like working backwards if it's going to be a very complex product or sequence, or if it's going to have a slower burn. With a product, I tend to work on the basis I kind of know where I'm going with it. I want them to buy this product. So it's sometimes easier to work forward. But you sort of get the idea. That would be one very simple funnel, and that's another simple funnel. Again, I can take screenshots of that and send it to you. If you have a look in the pack, you'll see a basic outline. But what I'd like you all to do over the next week is click the button that says chart on page 2 of the resource pack, and just go and have a play with this software. It's free. It's brilliant. It's dead easy to use. You'll pick it up in like 5 minutes. So I'm going to encourage you all to do that if I can. Are there any other questions that have come up at the moment? No, I don't believe there are at this point in time. We are getting to the end part now. So like I say, what I'm going to ask you all to do over the space of the next week, we're going to take some questions in a moment if there are any, or comments or whatever. What I'm going to ask you to do over the next week is try out all the tools, put your strategy together. So really think about those questions that I asked earlier, and also start to profile your customer and do a flowchart. Those things in total shouldn't take you that long. You can go and get a profile template from the link inside of the resource pack. As I say, you can go and get the charting software from inside of there too. So please do find yourself 20 minutes, half an hour to go and do that. Sometimes doing the profiling and the strategy, by the way, works best with a whiteboard and a couple of people to just bounce ideas off. So I definitely recommend doing that. When you do your flowchart though, here's a few things to bear in mind. Ideally, you always want a landing page. You always want a form, because otherwise you're not capturing anything. You always want a thanks page, and you want to think about a sequence. You don't need to necessarily build the whole of the sequence, because sometimes you might build a sequence where you're going to add content to it as you go. It might be that you're bringing people in to talk about, I don't know, because they're interested in cars, for example. Well, the car market continuously changes, leaving you with an unbelievably fresh amount of new content you can continue to put out to people. If you're doing things like stocks and shares, that will always change. If you're doing any sort of, value-based service, you've got a ton of content you can put out into your sequences over time. So that's where we're going to leave it for today before I run the risk of overwhelming everybody. Next time, we're going to get into an actual build, and I'm going to show you how to do it, and then I'm going to encourage you to go and do it yourself. Are there any questions at this point? I can't see any others at the moment.
We do have one question, but I think, that's for the next session. Before all of you go, I just want to let you know about our 2 webinars in the future. But in the meantime, if you want, please ask your questions in the Q&A box. And our 2 next webinars are taking place this week and next week. This week, we've got a webinar on Thursday, and it will be on Instagram for Business Masterclass. And on Monday next week, we will have the same webinar with Dylan on how to build a high converting digital sales funnel, but it will be part 2. As you know, this webinar consists of 3 series. So we'll have a webinar on Monday next week, and then we'll have part 3 on Monday, and it will be, I think, the 13th of July. Yes, the Correct. 13th of July. So I would highly encourage everyone to do the homework that Dylan has prepared for you, because it will be useful for part 2 and then obviously for part 3. So that would be from me. It doesn't seem that we have any questions at the moment. A lot of people are thanking you, Dylan.
Thank you very much, everybody. For those of you that do want to ask questions offline, go in the resource pack. You've got the links there. If you haven't downloaded the resource pack, I do encourage you to do it. I know I've been a bit flippant about the whole sales funnel. I wanted you all to get into a funnel so that you could see what it was like and see how it sort of flowed, the basics of it. But obviously, it's a great way for us to keep connected. And I promise you, I'm not going to spam you with dog toys and things like that. I promise. Although that's a really good idea. It's a really good idea.
You could make a quick bit. I've just posted the link again to the resources if anyone has missed it. And we've got a question from Charlotte. If you can't make the Instagram for Business webinar, is there any way we can get a recording up to watch? Yes, Charlotte. If you register for that one, and if you can't access it, if you can't be there at the time, the link after the webinar will be sent to you in the follow-up email. So you will be able to watch it after, on Thursday or Friday or whenever you'll be able to do that. So that's not a problem. Whenever you guys register for a webinar and for any reasons you can't attend it, be sure that, a follow-up email will be sent to you with the recording of that webinar. So, that's not a biggie. If you have any more questions, now you can post them in the Q&A box or in the chat box. It doesn't really matter, because now we can monitor both channels really. But if not, then I think it'll be good to wrap it up. But
yeah, one last thing to tell you about in the resource pack. I love the resource pack. It gets everybody going there. Right at the end, there are here's a little bit of an upsell, if you like, something to entice more people. There are going to be other courses on things like growth hacking that I'll be doing, marketing psychology, affiliate marketing, and my personal favorite, I've been in this world for a while, in the cryptocurrency world. Some people are fascinated by that, and I strongly recommend those of you that are interested in economics and things like that, do come and have a look at that if you're a bit curious about crypto. But all of the first three, growth hacking, marketing psychology, and affiliate marketing, they're all sort of based around digital marketing and that world. There will be other courses as well, and I'll be able to let people know about that. So if you do want to do it, you can simply just click the button, join the wait list, and you will go and be able to sign up for that. And we will, as you can see there, you can just tell me which you're interested in, and when they come up, I will let you know. For now, that's it from me. I think all the questions have been answered. I look forward to seeing you all next week, same time, just come in just before 10 a.m. And next week, we're going to get into the really cool stuff. So I'm actually going to build you a funnel live, and you're going to be able to follow it. I've done this many times. I'm going to show you how to build a funnel live using the software that is the link in the resource pack. So that's going to be ace. Thanks very much for coming, everybody.